What up, cucks? It's the hater with your Monday Night Raw review up in this piece. You understand what I'm saying to you right now, dogs? Before we get started, as usual, let's go through the new subscribers. Our new, you know what? Not new subscribers, our new friends. I consider each and every one of my subscribers a personal friend. I remember most of you, the ones that stick out, you know what I mean? The ones that comment, the ones that were here since day one, motherfuckers, or since day 2 or 3, you know? That's why I always mention people like Lars Henry, Nicholas Kandra, motherfuckers, remember him? You know what I'm saying? Isma Styles, Abdullah Ashjau, you know what I'm saying? The usuals. Yeah, of course, I'm not going to mention all of you right now. And of course, my boy MW, you know, my rival, if you will. I love you guys, man. You guys are tight. You know what I mean? But anyways, let's get to the new ones, the new friends. First of all, we've got Richard Rodriguez, motherfuckers. Richard Rodriguez is a new friend. Okay, not to be confused with Ricardo Rodriguez, who was Alberto Del Rio's personal ring announcer. You know what I'm saying? But welcome, Richard Rodriguez. Perhaps you can be my ring announcer one day, motherfucker. Next, we have Charlie Wolf Kale 2020. Nice, Charlie Wolf Kale 2020. Start the year off with a new name, motherfucker. Then we have Neko Consulting. You know, I've been playing some JRPGs, and the word Neko keeps on popping up. I think it means cat in Japanese. So shout out to Neko Consulting, another new friend. As usual, if you subscribe and I do not give you a shout out and you want one, cucks, I suggest you write in the comments that you subscribed and you want a shout out. Also, if you haven't subscribed and you are watching this, I suggest you click that subscribe button and subscribe today, motherfuckers. Anyways, let's get to this show. You know, this was, I gotta say, this felt like a Raw after WrestleMania. This was a very good episode of Raw. Now, that being said, I'm not gonna sit here and say it was perfect. You know what I'm saying? There was definitely some things to talk shit about. But the facts are what they are. You know, it was a great episode for a few reasons, and I will get to them in due time, cucks. So let's start off as we usually do at the top. All right, the show opened up. Drew McIntyre comes out. Honestly, he got a pretty mediocre reaction. I mean, this guy is obviously a star on the rise, and I get it. You know, like, the focus is going to be on Edge and things like that, but Drew McIntyre deserves a big reaction. Now, of course, you can't control what the fans do, but he just got like a pretty lukewarm reaction considering he just won the Royal Rumble. You know what I mean? He came out, said that he was going to wrestle Brock Lesnar because he's not going to, pussyfoot around, if you will, and have people wait for his decision, which I liked. It solidifies him as a face and as a guy who's not here to screw around. You know, he's just like, yo, I'm here to fight, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? He says that he wants to fight. Hot Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows come out just to get jobbed out, basically. Drew wins. In the match, I didn't like the fact that Drew was being, like, arrogant and cocky because it's like, that you're fighting two guys. You know, there's two ways to do this. Either, like, he barely wins, or he just, like, beats them, but, like, in a dominant fashion without any of this, like, cockiness or anything like that. That's more of, like, a heel thing. I did not like that very much, but, of course, I'm behind Drew winning. Like I said in my Royal Rumble review, which you should watch if you haven't watched, cucks, it feels like they're making a star with Drew. Then, cherry on top of the cake, motherfuckers, or on the top of the sundae, whatever you like, yeah? Brock Lesnar comes out and F5s him. This was also great. Brock Lesnar got an insanely good heel reaction. You know what I mean? The people were booing, and it works, man. Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar works. Another theme of this Monday Night Raw, as far as I'm concerned, was the return of big men, right? And the push of stars, right? That's kind of the attitude, the direction that WWE is going towards, right? This is a perfect move, especially considering AEW, you know what I mean? Like, I feel bad because I'm not going to shit on this Raw too much. Don't worry, I'm still going to shit on it a little bit. But AEW, which I'm going to shit on, I'm sure, on Wednesday, motherfuckers, AEW is doing the exact opposite. You know, they're putting out people like fucking Adam Page, who, like, I mean, I got to say, he's one of the more interesting guys in AEW. But if you're an AEW fanboy, can you really argue, you know, can you really even believe that AEW is better than WWE? Like, can you really even open your mouth and utter those words? And the words will get stuck on your beard. It is not reasonable to say that AEW is anywhere near Raw. AEW is probably on the level of like 205 Live, and I haven't seen that shit, I think, ever. You know what I'm saying? So there you have it, cucks. Now, Next, we had Rey versus MVP. This was a nice little surprise because I did not think that MVP would have another match. But during the match, Tom Phillips or whatever, or like new, as I call him, new Michael Cole. I don't know the guy's name. I don't think it's Tom Phillips, but the other guy, the computer geek looking some bitch. That guy just said, he's like, well, the good thing about the Rumble is that you have these returning stars, and sometimes the night after the Rumble, they have like one more match. And then like King was like, well, MVP doesn't think it's going to be one more match. So King tried to save the fact that this guy just pretty much spoiled the fact that MVP is going to lose, and this will amount to fucking nothing, right? I did like the fact that MVP did the ball-in elbow. You know, it did not get the reaction that it should have, in my opinion. That's like a move that should get a big pop since you haven't seen it in 10 fucking years on WWE. Now, that was a little bit boring back in the day. It was a little stupid back in the day because, you know, the song "We Fly High, No Lie, You Know It, Ballin' by Jim Jones was pretty popular. So MVP was just stealing it from that. But now that Jim Jones is somewhat irrelevant, you know, I mean, Dipset for life, you know what I'm saying, motherfuckers? But the fact is what it is. Now it's like almost like an MVP thing more so, you know? Even that idiot, what was his name, Jordan Miles, started doing it, you know? We should talk about him some more another time, motherfuckers. I did speak about him a little bit. Maybe he was partially on the right, I would say. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Rey Mysterio wins after hitting a 619 to the back of MVP. MVP tries to like escape it, and Rey Mysterio hits him in the back, does a springboard frog splash, and lands on MVP, pins him 1, 2, 3. This was all right. I mean, you got to give it up to Rey Mysterio, honestly. I mean, like, this guy just doesn't slow down. Let's call it like it is, man. Rey Mysterio is like, I mean, it's hard to say who the top 10 are, but if you gave me like 3 days to just think about it, you know, and I wasn't like reactionarily being like, oh, Undertaker, Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, you know, I'm pretty sure Rey Mysterio would find his way in the top 10 for me. Now, the problem with this is this, there's like, wrestling is so long of a sport and there's so many big personalities, right? Like, how can you have a top 10 without Hogan or Ric Flair? You know what I mean? How can you not have Stone Cold and The Rock in there? I mean, honestly, how can you not have John Cena? You know, Jericho is got to be there somewhere. Triple H, I mean, he's got to be there too. Kurt Angle, that's already 8 motherfucks, you know? But after that, you have to start talking about the Rey Mysterios, you know what I mean? If you take away the people like Eddie Guerrero who like died before they could like legitimately be like a multiple time champion, Rey Mysterio has to stand there as one of the GOATs, man. You know, and at this point, I mean, you have to say it like it is. At this point, you can't deny Lesnar either. You know what I'm saying? You can't deny it. Like the drawing power, the moments that Lesnar has provided, you can't deny it, right? But then you have no room for like the Edges and the Jeff Hardys. And I mean, it's hard to say Jeff Hardy's one of the best of all time, but it kind of eliminates a lot of like other wrestlers like Sting. You know what I mean? Like someone like AJ Styles, who's like one of the best ones right now and has been for a few years. Yeah, it's hard, but or Orton, you know. But Rey Mysterio has to be there, motherfucker. So I give a lot of props to Rey Mysterio. He looked great. He fought another guy who was like older, and they had a pretty decent match. You know, I'd rather watch this just to see like the ball and elbow in the 619. I'd rather watch this than watch like, I don't know, like Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens, or Kevin Owens versus Samoa Joe. Like, and I'm not gonna sit here and say that MVP was this like huge star or that MVP deserved to be WWE champion. I never really liked MVP. I kind of thought he was overrated always because like I just never got it. You know what I mean? Like I saw him and I'm like, you know, why is this guy like in kayfabe? He's supposed to be the highest paid guy on SmackDown, right? Triple H was on SmackDown, you know? Triple H is like a legend, and like you knew, just like as soon as they introduced MVP, you knew there's absolutely 0% chance that MVP is gonna have a better career than Triple H. You know what I mean? And speaking of top 10s, how can you not include, I forgot almost, how can you not include Booker T in the top 10, motherfuckers? You can't not include Booker T. So it's gonna be a hard top 10, but we'll get there when we're gonna put Ray in that son of a bitch. Next, Seth and Buddy Murphy come out, and considering the fact, I completely forgot about Aleister Black. Right? He beats a jobber and he says that now he will pick fights. This was a completely like forgettable segment. That's why I nearly forgot it, motherfuckers. But I will say this. I thought that this segment was complete garbage. And here's why. Aleister Black, like, I don't particularly like him, but I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get why people like him. I like to have 3 categories of people. You know, 3 categories of wrestlers, right? Wrestlers that people like and that I hate. Right, like I don't understand why people like them. You know what I mean? Like I see someone like Kenny Omega, and I'm like, all right, people like him, but I really don't get it. I don't get what's so special about this guy. You know, all he does is knee strikes. He does knee strikes. He does the one-winged angel. the Kotaro Crusher, and then he does the Snapdragon, which every week JR has to tell us, oh, everyone uses the Snapdragon. Who else, JR? Who else? Who the fuck uses the Snapdragon, right? You know, and JR's like, oh, he does the best Snapdragon ever. And I'm like, okay, great. That's not like an achievement, right? So there's people like Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks, and I'm like, all right, people like them. I recognize people like them, but I don't understand why. You know what I mean? I don't get it. Then, of course, there are people that I like and people also like. You know what I mean? Like this would be like Brock Lesnar, AJ Styles, Cena. I think now like no one's ever gonna boo Cena again. You know what I'm saying? So Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels. Like I get it. I understand the appeal of someone like Shawn Michaels from all aspects of the medium of wrestling. You know what I mean? So, and then there's of course probably my favorite category, if you will, people that I don't like particularly, but I understand why people like them. So this would be people like Rikishi, right? Like I get it, you know, I see the appeal. People like I don't know. Let's think of like Dean Ambrose to a degree. Like I mean, I don't like him at all, but I get it. People like him because they think he's like this ultra violent guy. Actually, he's not a good example. Another good example would be someone like fucking, I mean, Aleister Black, obviously. You know what I'm saying? I just used him to set up this point, motherfucks, hear me? But you know, like a few people that are like that I'm just like, all right, dude, like people like these guys, but I don't really care about them whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like this also is prevalent in a lot of tag teams, like the Revival. Like I get it, I get their charm, but I don't like them. The New Day, same thing. I get it, I get why people like them because they're charismatic and goofy, but I don't like it. You know what I mean? I don't enjoy it. That's on the side of things that I like. And then there's things that I don't like. You know what I'm saying? Which is a lot more things, motherfuckers. You know? So there's things that I don't like and nobody likes. We don't have to talk about that because nobody likes them, motherfuckers. You know, like that would be something like Adam Rose. You remember Adam Rose? Like that kind of bullshit, right? So there's a lot of that. And there's also obviously the greatest category, things that I don't like and that people do like. You know, this is very weird to me. This is like kind of like a combination of two previous categories that I just talked about, but you understand what I'm saying. Aleister Black, you know, after this tangential point to explain my point, my foots, Aleister Black, I get it, right? But I will say that this segment was, in my opinion, probably the worst segment of the night. I mean, it's either this or the Becky Lynch one. I'm not sure yet. But this was a horrible segment. I'll explain why it's a horrible segment. This is why you come to the hater, motherfuckers. Because I talk about the real analysis, you know? You can tell, motherfuckers, that I'm a smart bitch. You know what I'm saying? And here's why it sucked, right? From an objective point of view. Aleister Black debuted in NXT and had a very stoic and honestly, let's be real, unremarkable run. Like he became NXT champion. He had some good matches. Like he had a match with Adam Cole. I thought it was one of the best matches of NXT. Like when he did essentially an AA to Adam Cole on two folded up chairs that were like stacked back to back, and he dropped them on like the upper part of the chairs. That was sick. I couldn't even believe that they actually did it. But when he moved to the main roster, he was like in a team with Ricochet for some reason. Like it was just stupid, right? It was just like, oh, here's two NXT guys that we want to highlight a little bit, right? So that was whatever. I didn't care about that one bit. And then he started this like it's almost a year basically, right? Almost a year since he debuted, and he's had this like ridiculous, like he doesn't show up at all gimmick, and he's like, pick a fight with me. Why would anyone do that? Like what does one stand to gain by beating an NXT guy? You know what I mean? Like I guess maybe like a Cesaro could be like, oh, I beat someone, I haven't won a match in forever. He looks like easy pickings. That might be the only rationale, because why would like it's almost like a cowardly move in some ways, right? It's like Brock Lesnar's not going to pick a fight with Aleister Black. Roman Reigns isn't going to do that. You know, the stars have no time to worry with Aleister Black. If you're a champion, you have to worry about your actual challengers, you know? And if you're a challenger, you got to worry about the champions, right? So they did this circle jerk for 9 months, and only for this asshole to sit down and say, now I'm the one who's going to like pick fights. And I'm just like, dude, why did he just debut like this, you know? Why didn't they just save 9 months of paying this guy and 9 months of his career, right? Just to have him fight Buddy Murphy and Cesaro. Like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Especially considering that Buddy Murphy is now a much bigger deal than he is, kayfabe-wise. You understand what I'm saying? So I really didn't like this, because he just sat down and he was like, all right, basically like, now I'm ready to be a wrestler. Are you? Are you really? Because I don't give a fuck no more, you know? So I did not like this at all. Then we had Seth and Buddy Murphy come out, and they accepted a challenge that was laid out to them by Team Fat Ass. You know what I'm saying? Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens, the Fat Beards, as they should be called, right? Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens come out, and these are like two of the worst faces I've ever seen in my life. And I don't mean just like faces versus heels, but I mean faces like they have the worst fucking faces, motherfuckers. These two pudgy looking dudes. So they come out, and like just like two retards, like they're basically like their faces, but they act like heels, right? They have this like weird cowardice about them. Like they come out and they're like, oh, you challenge us to a match, you never want to fight us before, right? You must have AOP under the ring, right? And then I'm like, dude, like, can you imagine, like I don't know, Undertaker comes out, right? And he's like, Austin, I accept your challenge, right? And then Austin comes out and cuts a promo on the ramp, you know, and he's like, well, Undertaker, what if you have Farouk and Bradshaw and Midian like under the ring? No, Stone Cold will just run into the ring and start fighting. And if if Bradshaw, Farouk, and Midian come out, so be it, motherfuckers. They're gonna whoop his ass. That's what a face does. A face doesn't have these like debates. You know, this is like some like pseudo-intellectual nonsense, right? Where like the point they're trying to push across is that Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens, like, they're not dumb. They're not going to be tricked by this, right? So Seth Rollins then starts proving to them that AOP is in the back by showing AOP in the back. Samoa Joe accuses Seth Rollins. This circle jerk continues. He accuses Rollins of pretty much pre-taping the segment, right? And this entire time I'm thinking to myself, dude, does it really fucking matter if AOP is under the ring or backstage? If they're backstage during the match, they can just come out. Right? It's like they act like backstage is like 4 countries away. It's like it's fucking backstage. It's like a 30-second walk. You know what I mean? Like they could just be there while they wrestle. AOP just runs in. What is Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens gonna do? Run away? All right, fine. They ran away. Big fucking deal, right? But this turns out to be an elaborate ruse. And then from the backstage, we see Viking Raiders attacking AOP. So let's put this into perspective. Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins, as far as we know, we're ready to wrestle them without AOP being under the ring. Number 1. 2, Viking Raiders, right, for some reason attack AOP, who's done nothing to them. You know, they had a match like a couple weeks ago, and they had just had a match, right? And then Rollins and Buddy Murphy, the ones that they should really hate, right, beat them. Like, I mean, Seth Rollins wasn't the legal man, but one of the Viking Raiders is not the legal man when they do the Viking experience, right? So they have really no reason to be upset. Like, they lost the match. You know, like no one cheated, as far as I remember, right? Like, they just lost the match. But for some reason, this is like justifiable. You know, it's presented as if like AOP are the heels and Viking Raiders are the good guys who are attacking the heels. That doesn't make any sense, you know? And then the match started. This match was whatever. I didn't really enjoy it. The match ended after Owens tried to do a stunner on Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy pushed him away, but Seth Rollins was there, so Owens did a stunner on Rollins, and he got rolled up by Buddy Murphy, right? So once again, Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy humiliate the Team Fat Ass, right? And now, as far as I'm concerned, this feud should end. I mean, what is there left to do? I mean, like, I get it. They don't like Seth Rollins. They want to get revenge on him. I don't even know what revenge. Like, AOP beat up Samoa Joe. Why is he mad at Seth Rollins? You know, I mean, of course he did it at the behest of Seth Rollins, but he should be more concerned about beating up AOP. Kevin Owens, he just came and attacked Seth Rollins after Seth Rollins turned heel verbally. Like, Seth Rollins didn't even attack anybody. He was just like, yo, you guys suck. And then Kevin Owens took exception to this for some fucking reason, even though it made no sense, because Seth Rollins was like, yo, Raw sucked ass at Survivor Series and all of you underperformed. And then Kevin Owens comes out to, I guess, defend Raw. But at Survivor Series, Kevin Owens joined Team NXT. You know, like he's worse. He's worse than Seth Rollins. At least Seth Rollins fought for Raw. So why is Kevin Owens the face? You know, also, nigga, fat asses, motherfuckers. So anyways, that was a complete waste of time. I did not like it at all. Then we had Becky Lynch cutting a promo. Now the new Becky Lynch, she has this like confidence. You can tell that it's like a weird, like pseudo false confidence, but at the same time, she really does believe her own hype, I think, in real life, right? But it came off really weird. It was very cringy. Like, you'd think this was like Stone Cold talking. It's fucking Becky Lynch, and she had like a jacket that she showed when she turned around. It's like goat. I don't even think she's like top 5 female wrestlers right now. Goat? Are you kidding me? Here's people that I would put ahead of her. I mean, from kayfabe perspective, obviously Tessa Blanchard, who's now like the TNA world champion. You know what I'm saying? There's that. 2, we have Awesome Kong, right? Awesome Kong is way better than she is, right? Shayna Baszler is better than she is in terms of being entertaining and fun. Charlotte is better than she is. You know, even Asuka, I think, is better than she is. Like, I don't really see the appeal to Becky Lynch whatsoever. I think she fucking sucks, you know? And now, like, you know, that I don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to set her up against maybe Shayna Baszler or possibly Charlotte. That remains to be seen. Next, Humberto Carrillo comes out just to have a rematch of last night's pre-show. If you watch my Royal Rumble review after you subscribe today, right? If you watch that Royal Rumble review that I made it very clear that this match was a pre-show match that I didn't watch. And I said, you can go and look, motherfuckers. I said, I did not watch this match because I'm sure we're going to see it again on Raw. And that's exactly what fucking happened. The match was a waste of time. Humberto Carrillo is garbage. He comes out, gets zero reaction. As he's going to like give high fives to the fan, this older fan is just putting 2 thumbs down and booing him. And Carrillo's like, oh, you're booing me? What are you booing me for, right? And he goes into the ring, wrestles the superior Andrade, right? And then like he just botches everything. The end sequence of the match was he does this like Enziguri type move, like a step up, not a step up Enziguri, but just like a jumping kick, basically, not even Enziguri, right? He does it, but misses completely. Then he does like a springboard Enziguri, basically like a disaster kick, right? Like Cucky Rhodes here, right? And then he goes for a moonsault. He does the moonsault, like fake Michael Cole says, oh, picture perfect moonsault, but it wasn't picture perfect fake Michael Cole, you know what I'm saying? He missed completely. He landed on Andrade's knees. Now, even in kayfabe, this would not put someone down for a 3 count. It's like, dude, you just put your stomach, you just flipped and landed your stomach onto my knees. Oh, wow, like, that's gonna knock me out or put me down for 3 seconds. It won't, motherfuckers, it won't. So with that in mind, Zelina Vega doesn't understand this, so she comes and attacks Humberto Carrillo, right? This would have been better if Humberto Carrillo just won the match, because afterwards, he did La Sombra, aka the Hammerlock DDT, on Andrade on the exposed ringside. Now, I mean, I guess that was kind of cool. You know, he got his revenge. I'll be honest. That was kind of cool for that reason. However, motherfucks, right? How much longer are we gonna have to tolerate this bullshit feud? You know, which also involved Rey Mysterio for a while, as to who will represent the Latino community as U.S. champ. What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense at all, man. Like the U.S. title, like, is much more effectively used when someone like Rusev has it, who is like an anti-American. Not like, oh, who's gonna represent Latinos? I'll tell you who's gonna be. It's gonna be Rey Mysterio, motherfucks, forever. He's better than these guys, and even though he's old, so I don't even understand why Mysterio is not in the title picture as he should be, cucks. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. The match itself was whatever. I didn't really enjoy it, to be honest. Charlotte came out. This was a waste of time. Charlotte basically did the opposite of what Drew McIntyre did. And basically what she did was just say that she's not going to tell you who she's going to challenge, motherfuckers. And I left Raw on right now, motherfuckers. And I'm watching it because I watched it on DVR. And now on whatever, USA Network, I guess, they're showing like Lizzo, who won a Grammy. Now, Lizzo, speaking of fat asses, Lizzo's got a fat ass, motherfuckers. And I don't mean that in a good way. I mean that in that she should cover herself up because she looks like a pig. You understand what I'm saying? And I know what's her face, the broad from Biggest Loser. People got pissed at her because she was like, Lizzo's overweight. We shouldn't celebrate her body, which is exactly like the right thing to say, you know, especially in this culture where they like, where if you're like a fit girl, you know, people are like, oh, we can't celebrate this body because it makes fat people uncomfortable, right? You know, and but let's celebrate what's her face? Lizzo's fat ass, because that makes nobody uncomfortable. Well, I got news for you, pal. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to see that shit, man. This fat broad twerking while playing a flute, stopping the flute playing just to say, bitch, and then play the flute again while twerking her unattractive body. I did not like that at all, motherfuckers. So anyways, that was a little side rant that came on my TV. I have it on mute, but it came on my TV. So anyways, what do we have next? Yeah, Charlotte came out. Then Asuka came out. Before Charlotte could say anything else, thank God, Asuka was like, yo, if I was in the Rumble, I'd have won, motherfuck. But she said it in Japanese or in broken English, so it didn't sound as cool as how I just said it. Right? They come into the ring. They attack Charlotte. Charlotte eventually gets the figure 8 leg lock on Asuka, but Asuka crawls near the turnbuckle, and Kairi Sane drops an elbow. After the match, though, what's it called? Asuka pushes both of them away. Like, Asuka wins, basically. Like, she wins the little battle, if you will, yeah? I did not enjoy this at all. Next was a very enjoyable segment, though, however. I will say it like it is, motherfucks. What's it called? Mojo Rawley came out, and they introduced him by saying, Mojo Rawley, oh my God, sorry, guys. I'm watching some coverage of the Grammys, and they have Billy Ray Cyrus and that Lil Nas X guy who's wearing like a pink cowboy outfit. Talk about emasculation, but let's not get there right now, cucks. That's another video for another time, motherfuckers. Nobody, in the Grammys, nobody looks like a star either. You know, we went from like legitimate stars, you know, and now like it's just a bunch of jobbers basically in music too. So it's like Nick Jonas, fucking Lizzo, Lil Nas X. What happened to cool people, man? Seriously, motherfuckers, what happened to that shit? But anyways, let's just get to it, you know? Mojo Rawley came out and they introduced him as being accompanied to the ring by his offensive lineman, Riddick Moss. Now, in NXT, the few times Riddick Moss has appeared, he has appeared wearing this like singlet type thing, right? Now he didn't have a singlet on. He just had like trunks on. And this guy is a beast, motherfuckers. Riddick Moss is a beast. Now, is Riddick Moss awesome? Is Riddick Moss someone that's going to be a WWE champion? Who knows? I don't know how old this guy is, but he looks like a beast. I don't know if he has any charisma or anything, but he looks like a monster, right? Very, very quickly, Mojo Rawley cut this like pretty good promo, man. Mojo Rawley has charisma. This guy really is charismatic, and he's good on the stick, motherfucks. So I like Mojo Rawley. You know, he deserves a bit more than what he's gotten. You know, they put him through that stupid phase where he had that weird face paint around his eye. That was really dumb. But beyond that, Mojo Rawley's cool. So what happened was Mojo Rawley beat No Way Jose in about 20 seconds. He basically like tackled him on his leg, threw him in the corner, and then did like the running punch that he does, but he missed it. He missed the running punch, you know, which of course he has to miss because if he actually connects with that, the guy's gonna fucking get knocked out. Maybe even get really, really hurt, broken jars and shit. Because Mojo is a big motherfucker. So then he hits his finishing move, which is that little fireman's carry flapjack type thing, right? And now they're eulogizing Kobe Bryant. Shout out to Kobe Bryant, man. One of the greatest basketball players of all time. I never really liked him, but you know, he was relevant during my childhood, so I dig him. I remember my grandparents, they saw him play when he was just a little kid, and my grandpa was like, "Wow, this kid's really good." And I'm like, "Damn right, grandpa." But anyways, so afterwards, R-Truth came out dressed like as a clown for some reason. He completely bypassed Riddick Moss, which is the offensive line, right? He's supposed to be the guy that protects the quarterback, who is now Mojo Rawley, right? Maybe they'll add that Tino Sabatelli guy, who's also a football player. That'd be kind of neat, right? But anyways, so R-Truth rolls up Mojo Rawley. At this point, I'm expecting Riddick Moss to come in and whoop that ass. He doesn't. He just comes in and just blocks, basically, R-Truth, which I guess now that I talk about it makes sense because Mojo Rawley says you're going to get blocked like by the offensive line, right? But the offensive line is supposed to block you before the defensive lineman or the linebacker or whoever the fuck it may be is going after the quarterback. In this case, he did it afterwards. So basically, Riddick Moss just stood in his way. R-Truth turns around, Mojo hits his finisher, and regains the 24/7 championship. I like where this is going. I mean, Mojo Rawley, just giving him the mic, I think is a good idea compared to other people. This is what I was saying earlier, you know? Like, Mojo Rawley, not so much, but Riddick Moss looks like a monster, right? And that's inherently interesting, you know? Like, I am so much more interested in what Riddick Moss is going to do than I ever was or ever will be interested in what Ricochet or Humberto Carrillo do. Even Buddy Murphy, who's a little bit bigger. That's the problem. That's when I talk about these people like the Cedric Alexanders, the Buddy Murphys. By the way, where the fuck is Cedric Alexander? These guys that will never become like champions, like realistically, you know, they at least shouldn't become champions, right? And versus Riddick Moss, who just like, if Riddick Moss was the guy that like were to wrestle Brock Lesnar, I'd be interested because I'm like, all right, this is feasible. Like he's big enough to outpower Brock Lesnar. It's conceivable, you know? So anyways, I really enjoyed that little segment. Then we had Liv Morgan versus Lana. I skipped the majority of this match. I just saw that Liv Morgan won with his slingshot STO, reverse STO. This is completely meaningless. Hopefully this feud ends because what is there more to do, you know? Like she got her revenge, she beat Lana. If she wanted to beat her up again, she could have done so after the match. So anything else doesn't make any sense. Then I couldn't believe my eyes. I mean, at this point, when the Liv Morgan Lana match started, I was like, dog, I have no more nerves for this. I can't wait for Edge to come out. So I'm just like, oh, it's over. Thank God. Edge is coming up next. Luckily, we had it on DVR, so I started skipping. But what do I see? I fucking see the Redwood, Eric Rowan, motherfucks, with his stupid ass cage still. Now, after Eric Rowan got destroyed and cucked and embarrassed by Brock Lesnar at the Rumble, he got eliminated in like 8 seconds, right? After that performance, he comes out and guess what? I'm like, all right, he's going to fight like a real wrestler or hopefully he's going to fight someone that's going to beat him, right? No, he came out, fought a jobber, beat him again. Who the fuck cares? What is the point? This is how much they care about him. They're just like, go out there, fill a 5 to 10 minute segment, right? And then when we need you for the Rumble, come out and get eliminated in record time, basically, against Brock Lesnar. Now, the question becomes, if that's what they were gonna do to Rowan, only to continue this garbage, why? Explain to me why they didn't just not put Eric Rowan in the Rumble. Put in like EC3. I don't give a fuck. Put in anyone else. Put in Heath Slater. Put in any kind of placeholder, right? Someone that's gonna just be there. and to be eliminated in 8 seconds. Why ruin the potential push that Eric Rowan might one day get? Doesn't make any sense. But after we were done with that bullshit, right? The best segment of the night by far happened. This was one of the best segments, honestly, like in a long time. I was gonna say of the year, but it's only January. But it legitimately was. It legitimately was one of the best segments in a long, long time. I don't want to say ever because that's a little hyperbolic, but it was a great segment. Edge came out. He went and gave high fives to Jerry Lawler and the other jabrones, right? I think Jonathan Coachman was there too. I'm not sure. I don't even think I heard his voice during the whole broadcast. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. But there was another guy there. So I think it was Jonathan Coachman. It could have been somebody else. Who the fuck knows? So anyways, Edge comes out. The crowd goes nuts. This is the kind of pop, maybe not this kind of pop, but like, what's it called? Drew McIntyre deserved a similar pop. But Edge got the pop of the night. It was fantastic. He came out. People started chanting, the typical things that you hear people chant. You deserve it. You still got it. All this other shit. Edge says, when they say you still got it, he's like, damn right I do, which he kind of stole from The Rock, but it was cool. And basically Edge cuts like an awesome promo, right? And this was a reminder. Some of you wanted me to talk about Edge, and I will right now. This was a reminder, right? A reminder of how fucking awesome people like Edge are, right? Let's call it like it is, motherfuckers, right? Edge is a star, I never really during the time when Edge was in WWE, like in the very beginning in the late 90s, right? Mid to late 90s, right? I never really understood the appeal of Edge because he was lanky, right? He didn't like comparing him to like a Triple H or something, he just felt like a jobber. He was also booked like a jobber because he was young and he was a jobber, right? Then during the Edge and Christian era, I was more of a fan of the Hardy Boys. In hindsight, the Dudley Boys were the best tag team, but Edge and Christian I didn't really like because they were heels, and I liked the Hardy Boys a lot. And also in hindsight, I understand now Edge and Christian were fucking awesome, right? But in this circle jerk that was the beginnings of the Edge and Christian and Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys ongoing multi-year feud, right? I always thought that in many ways the WWE just got it wrong, right? I mean, I would say that Bubba Ray is the better one between him and Devon, right? But Devon is also very underrated. Bubba Ray was clearly like the better one there, right? But in the other two teams, I think they got it wrong. Like I always thought Matt Hardy, like I was a big Jeff Hardy fan in the beginning, but eventually I started to understand, Jeff Hardy is cool. He's got like a dark charisma, but Matt Hardy is like the more entertaining guy. I think he really gets it more. Jeff Hardy was better in the ring probably. He was more entertaining in the ring, but Matt Hardy really got it more. And on the other side of the coin, I always thought Christian, who's my favorite wrestler of all time, I always thought that Christian was the one that was the real heart and soul of Edge and Christian. And when I go back to view some of the old Raws, like sometimes when I work, I'll watch old Raws, right? I see that Christian was the one that cut the promo. So, you don't really remember it that way, but Christian pretty much would cut a promo on the town, and Edge would then say like, for those with the benefit of flash photography, right? And Edge was the one that they picked to be like the number one guy. And I could see why, don't get me wrong. But I thought Christian was the better one. So I never really liked Edge, especially like after they broke up and Edge came back. He had those like lone wolf promos. It was like a wolf howling and Edge came back. I didn't like that at all. Like when he teamed with Rey Mysterio, I didn't enjoy that at all because he was like wrestling people like Benoit, Angle, Eddie Guerrero, people that were just better than him in my opinion. And Rey Mysterio was better than him as well. So, but obviously, once Edge became the radar superstar, everything changed. Edge is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time now. I mean, again, below Christian and below a lot of other people, but Edge is a star, right? That's the key distinction here, fucks. Edge is a legitimate star. He commands authority and respect, and he is awesome on the mic. Edge hasn't cut a promo in God knows how long, right? But he came out and he cut an awesome promo, and it made me realize that like all these other overrated, like smart, loved beard wrestlers, right? Like CM Punk. Like CM Punk can't hold a candle to someone like Edge or someone like Christian on the mic. It's not even close. CM Punk, all he does is come out with some juvenile bullshit and then says some generic shit and tries to say that Luke Gallows and Tyson Kidd are better than Cena, some other nonsense. Oh, why didn't Tyson Kidd get a push? Why didn't Luke Gallows get a push? Gee, stupid. Maybe because they're Tyson Kidd and Luke Gallows and nobody gives a fuck about Festus. So anyways, the facts do speak for themselves, though. When you hear Edge talk, you're like, damn, man, Edge is legit. And more importantly than the fact that this promo was just well executed was the fact that in the promo, right? In the promo, Edge specifically said that he's not just like, I mean, he didn't say specifically, I guess, but he heavily alluded to the fact that he's going to go on this ride, right? So it's not just like one more match, right? I think he signed like a 3-year contract. Edge is here to stay, motherfuckers. I mean, will he wrestle every week? Probably not. But doesn't matter. The point is, Edge is here to stay. He's going to be a member of the active roster, right? You're going to see him, I would guess, a minimum at like SummerSlam, Survivor Series, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, things like that. And you might see him a bit more than that. I don't know. He might be coming back in like a Rey Mysterio type role where he's there all the time if his neck can handle it, which I think it can. So I really enjoyed Edge's promo, and I enjoyed the fact that he didn't kind of bullshit. He didn't like drag it out. He didn't drag ass and say things like, oh, like I'm here for one more match. Like, I'm going to do it for the people. He didn't do that kind of shit. He was doing it for himself. He was like, yo, I have grit. Basically, he said, I have grit, motherfuckers, which I really like because it's awesome. You know what I mean? It speaks to his real story. The fact that like he was sidelined for years and he was like, nah, I don't give a fuck, motherfuckers. I'm back up in this bitch. So I really, really enjoyed that. Then Orton came out, right? They hugged. Orton suggested that Rated RKO come back together. I honestly did not think that Orton was going to RKO him like he did immediately after saying that. Only because I figured, all right, WrestleMania is kind of far away, and it'd be good to get like a nice little Rated RKO reunion, in between their inevitable match at WrestleMania, which I called last night. You know what I mean? It'd be nice to have them like not be tag champs, but have them like win some matches. Just have like a dream match type of scenario, like have them versus like a New Day, or I don't know, who the fuck knows, right? Have them have a match, right? And then Randy Orton betrays him. But I do prefer the way it went down now in hindsight because it just set it up awesomely, right? Randy Orton, for inexplicable reasons, maybe because Edge eliminated him from the Royal Rumble and stole the spotlight, I guess, I don't know, right? He RKO's Edge, right? Gets a chair, wedges Edge's head, wedges Edge's head in between the chair and climbs the turnbuckle, right? Teasing that he's going to do like a diving stomp to the chair. But instead, motherfuckers, what he does is he comes down, takes the chair off, and goes against another chair and performs a concerto to Edge. Now, this was great. I actually like the tease because I'm like, this is a little too much. Like, doing that is ridiculous. Edge, at the end of the day, he does have a fucked up neck. If this goes wrong, like, he get hurt. So there's that. Also, I'm thinking to myself, why wouldn't he just do the concerto? This whole time, like, I just assumed, once he got the first chair, I assumed this is going to end in a concerto because I'm just like, yo, like, that's what you do to Edge, Like, that's what Christian did to him, too. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. He did the concerto. Now, I understand that Randy Orton is a better and bigger star than Christian. So I'm going to, like, put over Christian a little bit here. This would have been better if Christian was the one to have this match with Edge. Now, that might be Edge's retirement match or something. That would be great. I don't know if Christian's cleared to compete. I don't see why he wouldn't be, right? But, I'm biased here because, like, Christian, like I said, he's my favorite wrestler, and I would love to see that. But of course, I understand what they're doing with Randy Orton. But it would be a much more emotional moment to have Christian versus Edge at WrestleMania. Now, of course, the problems with that are that Christian is not an active competitor, so it would feel weird. It would be like Edge came back, and then Christian came back too. Like, what the fuck, So, yeah, there you have it. I mean, and also that, like, if Christian comes back and Edge is still around, like, the real thing people want to see is TLC, whatever, man. Like, Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, and Dudley's. They could make it happen. All those guys, I know they're a little older, but they're not old enough to where they can't do it, except for maybe Edge and Christian, who are, like, retired. Otherwise, I think they can do it. Even Devon can get back in the ring, cucks. So, I really enjoyed that segment. I mean, obviously, primarily I enjoyed it because Edge is back, And it's not even like nostalgia. It's just a lack of stars, I don't really care about the nostalgia element of it. Like, when Cena comes back, it's not because I'm like, oh, I miss Cena. Absolutely not. It's just because he feels like a star still. Edge feels like a star. Drew McIntyre feels like a star. Brock Lesnar feels and is a star. Even Riddick Moss feels like a star. They have some legitimate stars, like everyone I just mentioned. Except for, I mean, I'll be honest, except for maybe Riddick Moss because he's unproven. Everyone I just mentioned, including Orton and everyone else involved in these feuds, are superior to everyone in AEW. And probably superior to everyone in AEW combined, motherfuckers. Like, Kenny Omega cannot hold a candle to Edge in any capacity, I don't want to hear this, oh, Kenny Omega the best doubt machine. Who decided that? Dave Meltzer? Like, this entire company, AEW, this entire bullshit company, exists entirely because of Dave Meltzer. You know, props to him. I gotta give him props because him talking about how good these jerk-offs are shows that you don't have to be good. You just need to have like a powerful voice to put you over, right? And get you a TNT deal. I mean, if WWE just for the fuck of it decided to move Raw to Wednesday nights just for fun, you know what I mean? Just fuck it. It'll be over. Like AEW was drawing zero. Who would you rather watch? Or if they just wanted to send Edge to NXT just for a match or something. Who would you rather watch, man? Edge or fucking Brandon Cutler or Steven, whatever the fuck his name is, the Dungeons and Dragons jobber? Who would you rather watch? Frankie Kazarian or Edge? Who? Like, honestly, is there anyone there except for Luchasaurus that wrestles? Not Jack Swagger and Wardlow, people that actually wrestle. Is there anyone there except for Luchasaurus and Dean Ambrose who are over like 6'2"? I don't think there is one person, man. I don't think, like, people like Cody Rhodes and Ty Dillinger look like giants compared to people like Joey Janela, but they look like midgets compared to Edge. Or let's not even start comparing them to like Braun Strowman or fucking Keith Lee or these other like Brock Lesnar, these monsters, right? I'm talking even about Edge. Edge was someone that like he was like a light heavyweight, man. He wasn't even a heavyweight. Like, he wasn't a cruiserweight, but he was like you know, like he was like 225, you know what I mean? Back when the cruiserweight limit was 220. He was like 225, 230. You know, he was never this like huge guy. You know, he's just tall, right? So that's but he feels like a bigger deal. Everyone in AEW is like under 200 pounds. I mean, except for like, again, Goldust and maybe fucking like, well, Wardlow probably. I mean, I can't really tell how big that motherfucker is. But Goldust and Luchasaurus are the only ones that are over that limit, except for, I'm sure, some fat asses, you know, some badasses up in the bitch, and maybe Jericho, you know what I mean? So there you go, man. You can't have an entire company based around Jericho. It won't last. But that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about Raw, and Raw was awesome, right? It was a great Raw. Edge did a good job. Drew McIntyre, it felt lackluster because he opened the show and he didn't really like have like a legit match. I mean, there's time until WrestleMania, but it would be better if Edge had like, I mean, if Drew McIntyre had like a real match, you know, like against AJ Styles, for example, you know, like, you didn't have to beat the jobbers of the OC. By the way, the OC is being buried, motherfuckers. I don't like that. So there you have it, you know. Those are my thoughts and my review and my commentary on WWE Monday Night Raw, motherfuckers. I really enjoyed it. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Now, maybe a 7.5 because you really cannot like excuse things like Liv Morgan versus Lana, Humberto Carrillo's just existence. You can't excuse that. And the Aleister Black thing really dragged this son of a bitch down. But it had, and of course, Eric Rowan, like another low point of the night. But there were like legitimate moments. The Drew McIntyre moment with Brock Lesnar, that was good. Edge, that was good. Riddick Moss and Mojo Rawley, that was good too. You know, that's at least 3 moments here that I thoroughly enjoyed, you know. And some of the other ones were tolerable. I mean, all the ones with the women were kind of shitty. I thought the fact that you have people like Edge now leaves less room for people like Rusev and Lashley, who are like being featured prominently. Ricochet, you know, a lot of people we didn't really get to see, you know. I get it. It's WrestleMania season. It's time to give those guys the backseat until next year, until the next season, if you will, right? Until the day after WrestleMania, because that's about it. I couldn't give a fuck about anybody else now. Now, it's like, how many matches is Mania going to have? Like, real matches. Like, let's say 10, right? They have a lot. 2 of them are going to be bullshit throwaway women's matches that I don't care about at all. Like, I don't care about Charlotte. Don't care about Becky Lynch. Don't care about Bayley. Don't care about whoever the fuck else is going to be involved, right? So that's like, that leaves us with 8. Out of those 8, I don't really give a rat's ass about whatever Seth Rollins is going to do with Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. I couldn't care less about that. So then, like, how many matches are left, right? Maybe we'll have like a Cena. Cena's going to be there in some capacity, I'm sure. Hopefully an Undertaker segment, that'd be nice. But maybe a match from Undertaker, I don't know. But there's a few things to look forward to. Like a Randy Orton versus Edge feels like a big deal. And it doesn't just feel like a big deal because Edge is there. It feels like a big deal because Orton is there too. You know, Orton always has his own match at Mania, unless he's like in the main event or something. But the facts are what they are, Cucks. The facts are what they are. And Orton, once again, makes himself relevant by being in this feud. And Edge, of course, return of the year thus far, obviously. So there you have it, motherfuckers. Now, what's next on the docket? We got AEW in 2 days, motherfuckers. 2 days. 2 days just to see, like, I mean, I keep comparing them to NXT, but I think the real comparison should be to Raw, right? Flagship show to flagship show. Like, it's not a victory if AEW defeats NXT. It's a victory if AEW gets, let's say, I don't know, 70% of what Raw gets in views, you know, which is not even that hard. That would be like 1.7 million, or not 1.7, 1.4 million, right? I think Raw gets like 2 million every year. Could be wrong, motherfuckers. So there you have it. With that being said, don't forget to subscribe today and go fuck yourselves and stay dirty, motherfuckers. Stay dirty.